Hey, I'm Ted Santos, and you know me for having really straight talks. And today I want to have a brutally blunt conversation about relationships between men and women. And you probably heard about this event that happened in Dallas, Texas, that's possibly showing signs of men have drawn lines, and I'm just not sure if women are listening. So, the question, the title is, have women overplayed their hand? For decades, men have been listening to women scream and yell about how they're not going to take it anymore and they're oppressed and they want equal rights and they want to be able to work just like men and they want high paying jobs. And the irony of all that is some of you may have seen an interview from Jordan Peterson, and the woman interviewing him said, women can do everything men can do if men give them a chance. And he asked a question like, so are you saying women can't do this on their own? Meaning women are incapable of building their own companies? I've never seen a female only Fortune 500 company. So the women screaming they want opportunity, instead of them creating their own opportunities and creating large corporations that compete in the global marketplace, they're actually demanding that men create the businesses, do all the investment, all the dirty work, get all the danger out of the way, and then women come in and they want to be CEO and other executives instead of building their own companies. So today I want to talk about how that what I just said is one example of how women are overplaying their hand. They've spent decades uh, in a brutal way. They've spent decades leeching off of men and the opportunities men have created. So men invested money, and you can look at the dot-com boom, how many companies failed. But even if we go back 100 years, there were over 100 automobile companies in the United States alone. Most of them failed. We talk about the big three, and they are uh, the result of many mergers and acquisitions for the companies to be the way they are currently. And so that means a lot of men invested in automobile companies and many of them failed. Women don't want to take that risk. Yet they want to make demands that men should take the risk on them. So how is this rolling out? Women want jobs that men create. They want to be taken on dates. They want to be married. They want the men to pay all the bills. He pays for all the dates, and then when she divorces, she wants to take half of his assets. She wants to be paid alimony. She wants to be paid child support, and the man ends up losing up to 75% of his income. And that's leading to suicides for men. It's leading to men being homeless or living way below their accustomed standard of living to make sure women and children continue to live at a standard that he created. So marriages are at an all-time low right now. They started recording marriage rates in 1865 and they've never ever been this low. So what message are men sending? And the question is, are women listening? So I'm going to show you, you probably have already seen this event in Dallas, Texas. And I won't even speak on it. Let's look at this event.
Went to a singles mixer, and only women showed up.
So she went to a singles mixer in Dallas, Texas, and only women showed up. Uh, I hear there were about 90 women there.
Went to a singles mixer, and only women showed up. Went to a singles mixer, and only women showed up.
So let's
singles mixer, and only women showed up.
So here's a group of women.
Went to a single
A group of women, and no man wanted to show up. I mean, is that a message that men need to be sending to women more often? Is that how women are going to understand? I mean, women are claiming they don't need men. We've listened to that for decades. Yet, what are they doing? They're marrying themselves. They're marrying their dog, their cat. They're marrying a ghost. They're marrying other women. And even when they marry other women, the divorce rate is 45%. And two women in a relationship is where you find the most domestic violence. So, what did men do? They didn't show up for this event. And it's interesting. Sorry. It's interesting to hear. I want you to hear what a woman had to say about this event. And I, her comments are interesting, but I think what's most interesting is that no matter what men say, women are not, they're still not listening. They've invested so much time and effort in telling men what their role is and telling men what a real man is and competing with men and begging men for jobs, even though the statistics are showing that women are not as productive as men. They don't work as many hours. They take as much as 60% more sick leave. And yet they're claiming they're better than men. They can do anything a man can do. And at one time we were looking to see if this was a fact. Well, the verdict is in, and they're not as productive. They're claiming to have all this value in relationships, and when you ask them, well, what are you offering to us? What a lot of women have done is lip synced. People like Kevin Samuels, they'll tell you they're feminine, and they believe being feminine is wearing a dress and makeup and hair that doesn't belong to them. So are men sending a message? Are women listening? And have women completely overplayed a hand of pushing for more and more and more? And the other statistic that shows up is women are not as happy today as they were in the 1970s. So they asked for something, they got it, and they don't like it. You hear so many more women wanting to get out of the rat race. They don't like corporate America. Well, these companies were built by men. If women believe there's a better way to build organizations, why aren't they just building female only companies? I saw something today that said women who have less female friends and more male friends. Here it is. Girls who have more guy friends than girlfriends go through less depression and anxiety. It's from a site I found on Instagram. Not common. These are not common facts. No. So women are not even good for themselves, and this may be a reason why they are unable to create female-only companies. But let's hear what this woman has to say about that event in Dallas, Texas.
Just don't ask me why, but let's get this video. This video shows that Black women are desperate. This video is very embarrassing. Just sidebar.
So, for decades, women claimed they didn't need a man. And when a woman shows up to a place where she can meet a man, other women claim that's being desperate. I think that's interesting.
They are willing to buy love. I know this event was probably a paid event. That's why those black women sat there so long waiting on a black man to show up. And even if a black man did show up, who would he pick first? But this also spotlights the self-esteem of black women because even if I purchased a ticket, I would have left when I saw it was all black women, and I would have thought maybe this is the LGBTQ event that might have been staged as a black love event.
Well, I guess that says something, right? The only way an event, a singles mixer event, will only attract women is because, well, it was deceptive and it was really for lesbian only, women only. The idea that men are taking a step back and saying, not interested, don't want to play your games. I mean, the fact that women who have more male friends instead of more female friends have less depression and anxiety. Uh, is that saying that women play games so often that they even play them with one another, which causes anxiety and depression in women by having to deal with the games? I mean, listen, I'll tell you, a lot of people say, oh, you got to have game for women. The idea of having game is something that women have imposed on men. And having game means that you're going to do and say things that makes her feel good. I'm going to tell you, power trumps game any day of the week. Men with power don't have to play these games, even though we're hearing about some of these mega billionaires getting divorces. The most recent is Sergey Ben, who is filed for divorce from his wife. He's the current CEO of Google. Getting a divorce, that's another one. Bill Gates, right? The big dogs getting divorces. So the only reason men don't show up, well, let's hear what she says.
But I would never have stayed because even if one or two black men showed up, but it's this thirst for competition with black women. And then I saw some comments was like, black women should have just made friends with other black women. Okay, that's really cute if black women were not so hateful against each other, but
Now, I just showed you a statistic. Women who have a lot of female friends have more anxiety and depression. It's how they engage with one another. Men, men can compete with one another and not have anxiety and depression. We can actually celebrate that. Hell, we can even slug it out physically, have a physical fist fight, and then go have a beer together. Lots of guys have had fights and then become best friends with the very guy they fought with. Or as a normal way of engaging one another, we say some harsh words to some of our best friends. Women fold under that. And imagine men can engage one another in a way that women consider to be harsh, and that can be a productive environment. I don't care if we're going out hunting together or working in a corporation. That's how we can interact. Women have asked us to stop doing that in corporate America because the environment is not friendly for women, which gives more reason why women need to create their own businesses. That's a different subject. But what else is she saying?
it's a very positive way of thinking. And I admire the women who thought that maybe black women could be somewhere to get along. That's beautiful. But
Hell, if they can't get along with one another, how are they going to get along with anyone? I mean, this is just, you know, very simple social skills. Is this woman admitting that black women lack social skills to be able to engage in one another? Is this part of the reason why so many men are just walking away?
Wait on love that's not coming. This was a perfect illustration of how black women are waiting on black kings that's not coming. The black men were at the white girl mixer or the gay mixer.
Okay. So when men send a message, and we could say black men, what you know what, this is across the board. I see this on social media across races. If men say, I'm not interested in the games you play, I'm not interested in doing things on your terms because your terms don't work, they're either considered gay or you must be dating another race of women. And I'm going to tell you, I spent a number of years going through 8 countries, just traveling from one country to the next, and I dated women in those countries. And just as a general rule, I've dated women from every continent: Africa, Asia, South America, North America, uh, Central America, North America. All I've dated everyone's woman. And I'm going to tell you, there are things that are so universal about a woman that it doesn't matter. Even a woman I dated from the Middle East, uh, she was cooking for me one day and said, I know if you and I are married, you'll just give me anything I want. And I asked her a simple question: what do I get in return? And I could see the shock on her face, like shocked and appalled. She couldn't get over it. And a few days later, she went and spoke to her cousin about that and said, this guy, Ted, asked me this question. And her cousin told, female cousin said, get away from that guy. He's stupid. What a dumb question to ask. And she said, well, this is just the way it is. You know, the man just gives the woman whatever she wants and you just live on. So there are certain universal things that you will experience from women. So a lot of guys think I'm just going to go overseas and find a different woman. Yeah, granted, this Middle Eastern woman was cooking and cleaning, and I had a company, and she had interest in helping me in a company. So much more pleasant to deal with, but there are just some universal principles. And what's happening in the US may be an example of what happens when men don't create boundaries and you just let women invade all boundaries and say and do whatever they want, make demands without actually um, reciprocating with what they expect from a man. Like I said, women know all the roles in the rules for a man. When you ask a woman, well, what role do you play? What do I get in return? That's sexist, that's misogynist, that's oppressive, all these other words. So they want free reign to just run around and do anything with no responsibility, freedom without responsibility. Did the ancient Greeks understand something that men are starting to learn? What else did she say?
Black women don't know these things. I don't know why. Why black women stay in competition for men who don't want them. Black women are living vicariously through other black women online who have black kings, king. They think black love is real in a world where it's obvious. The whole world just saw black women sitting there embarrassed, which is embarrassing for me as a black woman. Even if I want, well, I do want to date out, but now I'm questioning the what other races of men would think about me because
Well, the fact is 96% of white men date or marry, they marry white women. And after white women, their second choice is going to be a Latina, and then it's going to be an Asian. So, but what she's going to say is interesting.
of the things that y'all doing. Because it's like, oh my God, they gonna think I don't have standards because these hoes ain't got no standards. Like, who sits and wait? Even if it was a group of 5 men, how can 5 men talk to 50 black women?
Is she really listening? Does she understand why men didn't show up?
It's the why the fuck did they sit there waiting for me? But we see it all over the internet. Black women busting it wide open, cute bodies, cute booties, cute faces, hair, wig, lashes, all these things. I'm not against it, but you're still not good enough for a black man, and black women just still don't understand. I just don't get it. But just even with black women going to, it made me think of church because black women are looking for a church man, and it's 500 black women in this church giving their money to a black pastor, and then when a black man comes in there, everybody talks to him, everybody wants him, everybody throws pussy at this man, and think he's really gonna choose one of these ladies. No, he's just gonna go to the next church and fuck all the women in that church. But black women don't know these things. But black women still don't know black men want white women. Black women still don't know black men are gay. Black women don't know that black men are broke. They don't know that they're criminals. But to see that, you know what this event shows too? That black women are comfortable sharing men. Because even if 10 men came, how could 10 men talk to 50 women? Because they do it all the time. And women agree to home wreck other black women's home and agree to share men at 3 a.m. in the morning. And then y'all say y'all want to get married, but you could not want to get married if a man never takes you out or shows you anything nice or take want to see be seen with you in public. But it's the marriage delusion for me. So, if you like this video, let me know. If you don't, let us know so we can improve the show. But if we really improve this show, the only way really actually to improve this show, I'm going to see if my zest and zeal come back for black women. But the real way to improve this show really might be to bash black women so I can get some money. Because I hate to feel like that, but y'all know I'm transparent. I'm not finna get on here and fake because I'm cute enough for black men to like me, whether I like them or not. All I gotta do is start immersing myself in their content for the black women who bash black women and cater to black men and pander to black men. If I just watch and immerse myself in that content, eventually I know what to say and how to say it. Just like I've immersed myself into divestment, dick vestment, live vesting, all these different forms, swirling, pick, Misha, mammy, and all these different stuff y'all doing. I might need to follow the mammies because the mammies are getting the money. I'm just being honest. What y'all want me to say? I'm here. I'm here. This is draining. This is taking my soul. To pour into women who don't have self-esteem is hard work. It's hard work. But if one man show up, these black women like did not even realize what nobody was coming. No, nobody was coming. And even if they did, they still thought they were better than 50 other women.
So what's happening in the United States is, yes, a lot of women don't see it coming. They didn't see marriage rates were going to drop. They didn't see that men would retaliate. I mean, men are there are entire philosophies that are educating men all over social media, online, offline. They call it red pill, they call it MGTOW, they're black pill, CISPAM. There are all kinds of movements that are educating men in the way that they didn't. So in the past, what men did is they complied with women. When women said, "You're not doing this, you should do this, pay all the bills, I want a job, I want my own money, my money," women said, "My money is my money, your money is my money." And men just complied. Part of their retaliation was to go have an affair somewhere with another woman and still be able to like claim I'm still a man. I can do what I want to do. But then you end up divorced, or she cheats in return and then gets impregnated by some other guy, and now there's this paternity fraud and you're taking care of another man's child in your marriage because you felt bad because you cheated and she cheated on you in return, retaliation. So men complied. They didn't draw lines. There were no boundaries. And now that men are And so here's the cognitive dissonance. Now that men are pushing back and saying these are the lines and you don't cross them. If you don't cross them, we just leave you out there on your own to dry up on a vine. You see, I mean, if you think about it, what card do women have? I mean, the only thing they're going to do is say, well, we will withhold sex. I mean, there are more women on the planet than men. And there are already women who are willing to come to the United States and fill the void that women here are making, which isn't always a good idea because as soon as you bring the woman from another country, I don't care if she's from Brazil or Dominican Republic or Nigeria, Poland, Russia, wherever you, Philippines, one of the things the women here will do is do their best to sabotage that marriage because they resent the fact that you can just go to another country and get a woman who's much more attractive than what you would find here in the US. And the women here will want to see that marriage relationship fall apart. So they will do everything to tell that woman, oh, he's abusing you and you're cooking for him. This is horrible. I mean, I look, I lived with a woman from South America for 3 years, and someone told her that if she lived with me for 3 months, that I'm obligated to take care of her for the rest of her life. And she had this attitude of, there's nothing you can do about it. But she was being educated by women here in the US, filling her head with nonsense. So, what this woman is demonstrating is that she's still clueless. Even the fact of wearing this wig, men have said we don't like wigs and weaves and uh, all this makeup. Hell, there are men who I did a show about men who saw their wives for the first time without makeup. They divorced immediately because it was not what they signed up for. And this is universal. It's happened in China for women uh, who went under the knife and completely different look. Men are saying, I'm not. I don't want to have ugly children." Well, one of the things that, as much as Kevin Samuels was out to help women, he hurt them at the same time because he gave them prefabricated lines. Like, what is it men want to hear? Well, men want to hear that I'm going to be feminine and I'm going to be cooperative and I'll say the things that you want to hear just to reel you in, get the ring, get the marriage, and then I'm tired of playing this role. That's the downside. See, it's the mindset of women that really needs to be destroyed, disrupted, and then created with something that works for everyone. Because it's not even working for women. I mean, listen how she talks about women who went to a mixer hoping to meet a man.
If I'm in a group of black women, I know I'm not the cutest. You think I'ma stay around and think that he gonna choose me even if he comes?
So the other thing is women are not listening. Men are United States is the fattest country in the world. Black women are leading that charge. And if you look at this
Mixer. And only women showed up.
look at how many overweight women. Look at that. I understand there are men who say they like big women, except when those men earn a great living, they come into money. I don't care if it's an athlete, a entertainer, or a professional career. They are not looking to marry women like this. They might sneak these women in the back door, but you know what? They're looking for a woman who's more healthy, physically fit. Even this woman here presenting is you can see she's overweight. So men are saying, we don't want you if you're overweight. And what did they do with this mixer? Show up overweight.
And some people like, because I was even thinking like a mixer. I never even thought about that. Or going to find a date somewhere. I guess it beats online dating. I guess if you're not in online dating. And I'm not really into online dating, but I know that's how people are meeting. And then I'm like, maybe I guess gotta go to bars alone. And I really don't want to, but it's like I gotta put myself in the world. I gotta find somebody to like me because I know that once men see me and I'm somewhere to be seen and not on the internet, I can meet somebody.
And probably the biggest problem with that is she'll meet guys she doesn't want because the guys that she wants don't want her for obvious reasons, right? Uh, Being overweight is one thing that hurts you. Having a wig on, the guys that she wants are normally looking for a woman who's much more natural, especially this redhead thing she's got going on.
So black women are so used to pain and torture and hurt that they sit there and abuse themselves.
See, we keep saying this about black women that they've dealt with trauma. Listen, I lived in several Latin American countries. I dated plenty of women from Latin America, and they deal with the same kind of rape and molestation that women here do. And for some reason, they're not presenting themselves as trauma victims. They're feminine. They understand there's a role in a relationship. They're not spewing anger like all men are horrible and they hate men. They're just not doing that. Can Latinas be competitive with one another? Sure. Are there Latinas who are overweight? Sure. But one of the things that a Latina will do is you watch when she dances. You she possesses a femininity that many men in the US are hungry for. Same with Asian women. Even their voices, the way they speak.
I guess they was all trauma bonded. Maybe everybody there was trauma bonded over the fact that black men don't want nothing.
See, this whole idea of trauma is just being it's the hand is the overplaying your hand. This is way too much. I promise you, you go into Latin America, you will not see those attitudes. The one thing that is changing in Latin America is too many men are going to Latin America and spoiling the women. They're doing things that they're not accustomed to. And that's how the problem started here in the US. And that what that does is creates a sense of entitlement, which is once you're entitled, you end up making excuses for lots of things, which is what she's doing here right now, making excuses for why the women stayed. They stayed because they've the path, that road of being alone and I don't need a man has come to a dead end. And they're sitting on a dead end together. And they are realizing the discomfort of that dead end.
None of them. I think this was a trauma bond for black women also. Oh, black women don't know black men don't like them. Uh, but the blaming the black women for this event not going right, I don't blame black women.
I just look at behind her. Men don't like wigs, and she's got a closet full of wigs. Uh, I don't know how many wigs in there. It looks like she has a wig for every day of the month. A blonde, a brunette, long hair, short hair. Just like women go around saying real men do this, like there's this authenticity that people want. And if you're hiding behind a bunch of stuff. Who are you?
Because I know that whoever did do this event really should give people their refund and their money back. And it's just sitting around and waiting for me. Like,
You see, where they really should be getting their refund back is from the feminist who told them that being feminine is weak. Uh, Listening to a man is weak. And see, there's another thing that's happening here that's really important. It's the way, and this includes you, fathers, you raise your daughters to believe they are smarter and more mature than men. Yet when you look at the choices women are making, they're choosing, telling you a man is a sperm bank. I don't need a man to raise a child. I can teach a boy to be a man. These are poor decisions. When you take a parent out of the home, it creates a sense of abandonment, and that abandonment creates an emotional trauma for the child. And then there's that causes them to not want to deal with certain things. So you keep raising more and more children in single homes and think there's not going to have a negative impact. Well, if you're smarter than men, you wouldn't do that. Most most men want to marry, they want to have their seed, they want to raise their children in a healthy environment. They can educate their children and give their children an opportunity to have a great future. But it seems women don't care. So either they're having children to avoid being alone, and you hear about these these husband sons. Women enable their sons to stay home. Oh, don't worry about getting a job. Mama will take care of you. Play your video games. But that keeps a man in the house. It keeps her from being alone. It keeps her from having to look in the mirror and deal with who she is and the kind of life she's created for herself. You see, this is listening to the feminist who told you that happiness is in a career and having your own money and not having to listen to men, and then being told over and over you're smarter than men, you're more mature. Yet when we look at the decisions women are making, we don't see that. And before anyone says, well, if women ruled the world, there'd be more peace. Well, that's for hundreds of years, they've looked at women who sat in a leadership position for a nation, and women were 27% more likely to declare war than men. Men actually, as I was saying before, we could slug it out, have arguments, and negotiate, arm wrestle, and not, and then be able to cooperate and work well together. Women have more to prove. They want to prove that they're not weaker than a man, so they declare war. And the funny thing is, they don't send women off to fight these battles. They send men. All of the so-called power women believe they have is predicated 100% on men carrying out their wishes. And the fact that men didn't show up at this event is starting to show that men are no longer willing to carry out the wishes of women. Now, what's also interesting is you heard her talk about, well, maybe I'll just start doing content that bashes women and empowers men. And she said, all I have to do is listen to what they say. So it's what I was saying, like whether it's Kevin Samuels or all the women who say they stand for men, and men are supporting that. Why? What else did she say before we go?
you could have went and did something with your eating. They could have went to the casino. They could have went to a bar. Like a group of black women, and I know people are like, what's going on? It's an event. It's an event, but no speaker. Ain't no speaker. Just this sad music to keep black women sad and waiting on a black man who not coming.
Hey, look. This is another thing when you think about intelligence, being smarter than men. If you for decades say, I don't need a man, and then the man finally complies and says, okay, I understand you don't need me. I'm going to back off and I'm going to go somewhere else. You don't need me. Why are you now sad because he gave you what you wanted? Watch what you ask for. You just may get it. So what does that say about women knowing what they want?
I just at this point, I'm at a state with black women. Like I say, I hope my joy come back and my zest because black women are still the number one entrepreneurs in this country.
Uh, yeah, she's gonna spew some lies. They are not the number one entrepreneurs. uh, a lot of them have incorporated companies, but it's not more than Asians. It's not more than Hispanics. It's not more than white America, uh, and they don't employ anyone, so they're not creating jobs. And a lot of them are leaving corporate America because they say the environment is too harsh. It's not female friendly. And if you look at what Netflix recently did in the month of April, they just laid off a ton of women, mostly black women, but they laid off a ton of women. So what are those women going to do? They just go incorporate. That doesn't mean you have a viable business.
Right now. Black women are still the number one educated in this
They're not the number one educated. They may have enrolled, but a lot of them never finished, so they're not number one educated.
country right now. But
And this is how so many lies are perpetuated. It becomes propaganda. People just say things without really knowing what they're saying. And 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 you could say that is a big part of how relationships have become so messy and dirty because women are consuming this propaganda and believing, well, that's what men should do, and women are weak for being feminine, and women are weak for listening to men, and women are weak for collaborating with men, and we don't need. They bought all the propaganda, never ever having an understanding of what was being said to them, which then makes them a parrot. A parrot can repeat what it heard.
are there enough black women who care about that topic for me to keep pushing that? And even with divestment or dating out, I can see that for my life, but I can also see the struggles in other men thinking I don't want shit because I'm a black woman, or why the fuck should I take you out? Like, who the fuck are you? Y'all don't want shit. Y'all fuck niggas who don't got shit. So shit, I'ma step up, bitch. I'm doing you a favor. So
And unfortunately, that is the attitude that a lot of black women have towards black men, that I'm doing you a favor. If I have sex with you, I'm doing you a favor. If I go out with you and you pay for the date, I'm doing you a favor. I'm smarter than you, I'm more mature than you. I mean, think about that. Once you keep telling someone you're smarter than them, you create a sort of parent-child dynamic. A parent dealing with their child, or any child, an adult dealing with a child, you go into a situation dealing with a child knowing that you're smarter than the child, you know better, and you're going to give guidance and advice to the child because the child doesn't know enough. When women start dealing with men that way, as though, well, you're a man and you don't know anything. And if you could look at it from race, and a black woman to a black man, and saying, well, you're dumber than everyone, I don't have to listen to you. What does that say about your ability to, what people call, critically think and understand your environment, what's going on? I mean, that event in Dallas is saying that what women, black women specifically, have been doing has gone bankrupt. It doesn't work.
So I can see where people feel like divestment narrative is misleading to black women because these other races of men, will they treat you better? Yes. But the majority is gonna look down on you like you're wasted goods. And but I do believe, and I know for myself, because I get approached by other guys of different races, but it's just like I have to figure out where I'm at, where I want to be. And then with divestment, uh, if these women were taking active steps to give Black women tips on how to date out, that would be different. But
So why do you need tips on how to date out? All right, just let her finish this.
because only thing they really do is, oh, you're a mammy, you're stupid for dating Black men. Oh, you're a mammy, you're dumb for dating Black men. Oh, you're dumb because you date Black men. They don't even give you the actual tools or steps. Like, nobody wakes up and do something new without learning how to do things new. Nobody wakes up, and even that's why I did that divestment is a process video. Because I feel like these women want people to lie to them. Like, oh, I'm gonna just wake up and be on white pain. I'm just wake up on Latino pain. I'm gonna wake up on Middle Eastern pain. No, there are culture barriers that we have to overcome and learn to understand from other groups of men.
Look, yes, there are some cultural aspects you need to be aware of, but ultimately, a man is a human being. And if you don't know how to treat a man like a human being, it doesn't matter what race or nationality or culture he has. If you believe you can treat one group of men poorly and then you have to treat another group of men better, of course, if you treat this other group better, you're going to have a different kind of relationship than you have with the men you believe you can treat poorly. All right. It- That's just another example of how women just parrot what they hear and don't think it through. Even when women go into relationships with other women, they're treating a woman differently, better, more affectionate, more acknowledgement. They'll think the woman is smarter than a man than how they treat a man. And how does that change the dynamics? It changes it tremendously. So the fact they don't understand these things is very dangerous, and it's put them on a dead end street. And it's not about fault or blame. You are responsible for creating the environment in which you live. No one created that. This is the thing this event needs, the message that women need to get. And this is not just Black women. You see this in the US. You bring a woman from Asia, you bring her from Costa Rica or Brazil, and women of all races will do their best to indoctrinate that woman from another country to be more like women here. And you start having problems because women are parroting what feminists told them to say. And this is unfortunate because, and it's irresponsible because many of those feminists were women who had no interest in men. They had interest in dating other women, or these were the women who men didn't find attractive. So what did they do? They sabotaged all women. It's like, if I can't win the game of chess, I'm just going to flip the whole game over and no one wins. That's what's happening. And it's unfortunate there are many women who lack the intellectual capacity to see that they've been bamboozled, they've been played, they've been tricked, they've been scammed. And they're trying to figure out, well, if I go to the grass is greener on the other side, it'll be better. It's not going to be better because who you are, who you allowed yourself to be tricked to be, right? You were tricked into being these women who you are now, who are undesirable. I mean, this woman here being overweight, having a wig, this is an example. Saying that the reason men were not there is because they're gay or they were with white women. These are all signs that you're not listening. This is what men need to pay attention to. Are women listening to what we are saying? If we say this is what we want, that's what I want. If we say this is what we don't want, I shouldn't have to repeat that. You just stop doing it. And so this event needs to be a wake up call to women. And if you decide to ignore it, you will be the spinster who dies in her apartment and no one discovers her body for 2 years. And I posted something about this. This happens more to women than you can imagine. So if that's the life these women want, and a lot of them who will brag about their careers and I have my own money, and their sister gets married and has children. Well, what this spinster does is attempts to leech on to her niece and say, come visit me. I'm in a hospital. I don't feel good. If that's the life you women want, then you're on your own. As men, let them dry up on a vine, like leaving a grape on a vine and let it dry up and turn into a raisin. It's undesirable. Older men can still date younger women. Older women, especially when you're overweight, your money won't help you. Those young guys are not going to marry you. And you'll end up spending your life alone. So, this went way longer than I anticipated. Uh, I hope you did get some value from this for both men and women. Like to hear your thoughts. Like this video. Share your thoughts. Share the video. And give me some ideas for some other topics you'd like to hear. Thanks for listening. Talk to you soon. Take care and goodbye.